Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, coming back at you with another video here. The V Club, the Villain Club, is what I call it. And so it's about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. Unscripted, unscrupulous on everything. And so, without further ado, we should get to it. All right, we all know what happened. All right, yesterday here. It's been the talk of the day yesterday. And so let's get to it, alright? I mean, biggest news that was yesterday was Biden pardoning Biden. Alright, so just a little bit of a history. Hunter Biden has been, he's been caught, right? If you look at what he's done over the last few years, it all started from this whole laptop thing, right? And it was discovered on his laptop about uh, Russian collusion, having dealings with Ukraine, and hookers, cocaine, all kinds of stuff, right? So essentially, Hunter Biden is just a dirty dude, right? And so fast forward to now. I mean, he got you know tried and convicted. All right, supposed to be sentenced to go to prison, right, and serve time for what he has done. All right. Before we get to that, though, let me look up. I want to look up Hunter Biden's conviction, just so we know what did Hunter Biden do and what is the presidential bar. All right. So yeah, let's just look at that. So, what did Hunter Biden do? All right, so he was awaiting sentencing later this month on two federal cases. He became the first child of a sitting U.S. president to be criminally convicted in a case relating to his gun ownership. He was found guilty by a jury in Delaware of three charges for lying about his drug use on a form of buying a handgun. Because if you've known to be, in trouble with doing drugs and all that, you're not allowed to own a gun, I think is what it is. Um, he was also awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty in September in a federal tax case that centered on whether he paid tax from 2016 to 2019. The 9 charges included failure to file and pay his taxes, tax evasion, and filing a false return. He faced up to 25 years in prison on the gun case and 17 years in the tax case, though he was likely to get a much shorter tariff and served the two sentences concurrently. Experts told the New York Times. So basically, combine the two together, and he would just get one sentence. So, for example, the gun and the tax case, there's a 25, there's a 17. Let's just say they compromise on, I don't know, 15 years, right? Something like that. And so that's that, right? But there's a lot more to it because there's a lot of stuff that Hunter Biden was. I just mentioned earlier about his business dealings, and there's a lot of stuff. He's a dirty dude, all right, and he had business in Ukraine, Russian dealings. I mean, and all this stuff was business dealings, setting up meetings when uh, President Biden was vice president, and even as president, they would use code names like the big guy, right, which is President Biden, and things like that. So he got convicted for those things. Now, all these things, all along, Biden, the president, said that whatever is handed to him is fair and just. He's not going to pardon him. And he's been saying that time and time and time again, that he's not going to pardon his son because, the system is doing justice, right? And then fast forward to yesterday, he pardons his son, right? Which is complete crap, all right? It's like, what kind of shit is that? So let's play a couple of these things here. I just wanted to just play out the footage of these things so you guys can see what has happened, what's transpired, and what can we say about all this. So let's see here. Let's look at this right here. All right, let's go look at this Fox News clip.
You're not going to believe it. We thought we had the show set, and then this happened last night. Fox News alert, President Biden's pardoning his son, Hunter, excusing any offenses the first son may have committed over the past decade.
Madeline Rivera is at the White House.
So not only did he pardon his son, anything that he's done over the last 10 years, he's pardoning him for. I mean, that's a complete cover-up of all the dirty stuff that Hunter has done, right? That possibly could have criminally indicted Biden himself. So that's what was crazy about it, too.
With the latest for us. Hey, Madeline.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Well, this is a big 180 for a president who has long said he will follow the rule of law. But the president says he changed his mind because he believes Hunter's charges were meant to break him politically. In a statement, the president says, in part, here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. Hunter was supposed to have sentencing hearings on December 12th for his gun case and December 16th for his tax case. All of those now gone. But the president's pardon doesn't just cover these offenses. It covers any crime the first son may have committed between January 2014 to December 2024. And that time frame is notable given that Hunter joined the board of Burisma Holdings in 2014, and he has been scrutinized for his foreign business dealings. The president says he made this decision over the weekend while spending Thanksgiving holiday with his family. But NBC, which was the first to report this news, says the president had been talking about the possibility of pardoning Hunter with his close aides as far back as June when Hunter was convicted on those gun charges. As for whether we'll get any on-camera comments from the White House on this, there is no press briefing for the next few days with the president abroad for his long-awaited trip to Angola. Karine Jean-Pierre and National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby will gaggle on board Air Force One today, still that is off camera. And remember, the president held no news conferences when he had those international summits last month in Peru and Brazil. Lauren, Steve, Ryan, and Ainsley, rather.
All right, Madeline, thank you very much.
You got it.
Maddie unfazed by the cold weather. I mean, she does the same
at
60 as she does in 30.
And she ran to the White House.
Oh, really? That's fantastic. So we knew this was going to happen, but we just couldn't believe the audacious way it did happen. Number one, I think it took almost zero courage. You do it on a Sunday and then go to Angola and then take your press secretary with you. So no press conferences. Just let the chips fall where they may. Pardoning your son, to me, is not shocking. Roger Clinton getting pardoned by Bill Clinton, not shocking. But never admitting that you were going to do it, saying definitively you wouldn't do it, and then going ahead and doing it, and then the letter that followed to explain what went into it is just full of holes and inconsistencies.
And so full of shit, the contradiction, right? Because it sounds like the same thing that's been happening with Trump and the justice system, supposedly, right? And for Biden to lie and say that he wasn't going to do it, for him to go ahead and then pardon his son. And, if you were planning on doing it, then don't say you're not going to pardon your son. Like, why say it and then flip the script? You know what I mean? That's just straight up lying. And that's just the script of the Democrats. It's just Democrats are a bunch of liars. They are all about themselves, the elites, the money, the corruption, everything about them. They're so exposed how bad Democrats really are that how can you trust these people to ever do anything? Because they've really shown their true colors over these last few years, and they're just blatantly showing it in your face, and they're saying, what are you going to do about it?
I think leave him wide open and leave his party susceptible
Brian,
to further damage.
in that letter, he said, quote, I have followed a simple principle, just tell the American people the truth. No, you lied to us so many times, but about this specifically. You said you were not going to pardon your son. You said it over and over and over. You said you didn't know anything about your son's his businesses. You never discuss it. Then there's video or pictures of you playing golf with his business associates. You said you didn't know anything about your brother with Burisma, but he lied about this, and I think he was always going to pardon. He just lied because he was running for president, and he didn't want that to hurt him and affect the
He
election.
decided over the weekend.
Yeah,
So
but listen to this. Here's why I think that he thought about it and he knew he was going to do this. The sentencing for Hunter is in a few days, December 12th. The sentencing for the California case is on December 16th. So you have the Delaware case and California case within the next few days. So I think he said, I've got to do this now. And he pardoned him for 10 years. January 1st, 2014, 4 months later, he started working for Burisma.
So, Ainsley, speaking of lies, the Daily Signal puts it this way, talking about some of the lies that have been said from the White House podium. It's transitory inflation. Afghanistan was a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur lied. Biden's fine. Those videos are cheap fakes. Biden had jet lag. Biden had a cold. Biden isn't going to be replaced. Biden isn't going to pardon Hunter. The great thing about this is that now it seems like the president of the United States agrees with Donald Trump that there's corruption within the FBI and the Department of Justice.
He said the exact opposite.
So maybe we can get something done about it. Now, finally, we're all on the same page now. So maybe we can get a new regime in to change this corruption that he said.
Well, you know, and Brian.
Yeah, see, everything that's been stated has all been facts, right? Like, everything that the Democrats have said and claimed has all been lies this whole time. The system is corrupt, and it needs to be replaced, right? In terms of the personnel needs to be replaced. And so Trump proved them all wrong, right? And so he proved himself right yet again. And, you know, I mean, it was so blatant, right? And, of course, you know, being a father, of course you're going to pardon your son, but just to lie about it, say you weren't going to do it till you do it, and everybody else saying that, oh, you know, even the press secretary, you know, said, oh yeah, he's not going to do it. Yeah, she's so full of shit too. It's so funny.
Brian, you brought up the fact that on the way out, Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother Roger for cocaine. On the way out, Donald Trump pardoned his son-in-law Jared's father, Charles. But what's unique about this case is both of those people had served time already. They'd already done their jail time. This is to avoid jail time because he has not been sentenced yet. And so this is just essentially a gigantic get-out-of-jail-free card.
The timing of it.
Axios says that they've got to break down why Joe Biden did this now. And what it says is for years, well, this actually kind of makes sense. For years, Joe Biden has felt guilty because he became president and brought scrutiny upon Hunter Biden. And there were investigations and all that stuff. And so Biden and Biden's family believe that the attacks on Hunter ultimately were meant to push him into relapse and imperil Joe.
You got
fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Give me a break.
That's what I'm saying. That's my reaction too. My reaction was, you made that statement, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, what is that shit? All right, like, he's so lame duck. He just needs to get the fuck out already, you know, because, yeah, I mean, right now we're just in a tailspin anyways because he hasn't been doing anything presidential. Kamala's been on vacation. So this thing just has another month of a free fall or actually another 2 months left of a free fall before the reins get turned over, because this just needs to end. This bullshit, the lies, the corruption, I mean, all this, it needs to be done with and over. It's just ridiculous.
Simply explaining their rationale for doing it at this time. So in other words, Joe Biden felt bad that his presidency caused Hunter Biden to get investigated.
But is Axios saying that's their theory, or are they saying that's the Biden theory?
That's what I said. So Joe Biden and the family feel that Hunter, they believe that he was attacked. Yeah. They were attacking Hunter to push him into relapse and imperil Joe's presidency.
Everybody from all different sides. There's such nonsense when you have people from all different backgrounds that have had people that had disabilities when it comes to their the drug addiction. No one's even talking about that.
parents.
People
Yeah.
are talking about the corruption and explain that
dirty
to
dealing.
older
No one
men
cares about the
that you put
drugs
behind
and the
bars when you
hookers and all
signed the
that.
crime bill, and now you want sympathy for your son. You had no problem locking up all these other men back in the day after you authored a bill. So spare me with the, oh, this is because pushing them into real life.
Weaponizing the government against Trump.
And
Get
one
out
way
of
to
here,
find
man.
his
Get the fuck
international
out of
business
here.
dealing, we found hookers and crack.
Yeah.
But only thing people care about,
And he put that out,
is the Romanian billionaire, the Ukrainian Burisma deal, the Moscow mayor's wife, the millions coming out of China and the diamond rings. Those are the things that happen. By the way, this is the most luxurious crack addiction ever. With crack, usually your life goes down. The more crack he did, his life went up and millions came spiraling in. The fact is he didn't pay taxes on it was an additional red flag.
Well, you know what, Brian, what you just detailed, those are things we know of. Essentially, this pardon, this unconditional pardon, excuses him from anything he did, and that includes the stuff we know about and the stuff we don't know about, ultimately. And earlier it was brought up that Joe has put his entire political party, the Democrats, in a pickle. Think about the Democrats. What do they do to Joe Biden? They got rid of him, running for president, and now I don't think he cares.
Well, he was. I think. I think
it is revenge. Absolutely.
I think he was going to do it regardless. I mean, they just lied about it. Whether he became president or not, the son was not going to serve one day in jail. Which is why the media should have been akin to what was going to happen. I mean, they asked the question, so I give them some credit for that. But they said he's an honest guy. This is a guy that would never do this. And by the way, the White House sold us two stories. They said that Hunter Biden was a successful businessman. And also that he was an addict as well. So the smartest man in the room that was also severely addicted to drugs. You cannot have it both ways. Either he was the successful businessman that had all these connections, or he was addicted. Can't be both.
I think also he thinks that as a dad, maybe he's afraid to lose another son. And that's why he wants to take care of this son. That's more important to him than
Then it should have just been that instead of denying the whole time.
Also, I shouldn't be, but I am just floored at the just lie.
Yeah.
I'm floored that he told us over
That's
and over,
what it
I
is.
am not going to pardon him. So I thought,
it's a given that he's probably going to pardon his son, but to just lie about it and deny, that's the biggest problem that I have with that. All right, so it's just that was the biggest problem I have. So let me look at another thing here, because this is a very good one right here. It's CNN's Scott Jennings.
The blowback over the Hunter Biden pardon has been swift. Republican lawmakers quick to criticize President Biden over this. Some Democrats also speaking out about the bad precedent that they fear that this sets. The incoming chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Republican Chuck Grassley, weighing in with this, saying, "I'm shocked that President Biden pardoned his son Hunter because he said many, many times he wouldn't, and I believed him. Shame on me." CNN's Lauren Fox tracking the reaction in Washington for us. And there's a lot that we've already heard and likely a lot more to come.
Biggest thing is that
lawmakers expected back
Democrats
in
are just a
Washington
bunch
this
of liars.
evening. We can expect that a lot of Republicans are going to be lashing out after this news broke late last night. But there are a number of Republicans. Biden, you are also hearing from a small number of Democrats, including Representative Greg Stanton from Arizona, saying, quote, "I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong." He also goes on to say if this wasn't politically motivated, pro-Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. Kate?
Lauren, thank you so much for that. John.
That's the justice system at work.
Karen Finney and CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings. So, Karen, you just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic governor of Colorado Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son. And I think there are going to be Democrats who, from a political perspective, are going to feel like they may have to say something, but who probably on the inside understand why President Biden went ahead and did this. And I got to tell you, crowing from Republicans, and I know my dear friend Scott will have plenty to say about this, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally had pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France. So if we're going to talk about,
apples and oranges,
using what system and what fashion, let's put it all on the table.
So full of shit, man. This lady's garbage.
The fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a leg to stand on in this one.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
bitch.
Scott Jennings, what about that? Steve Bannon, Charles Kushner,
Watch Scott
Paul Manafort,
Jennings
Roger
tear
Stone,
it apart,
Michael Flynn, and Charles Kushner not just pardoned, but also apparently about to be nominated ambassador to France.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes.
Exactly.
And Joe Biden, amazingly, knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started.
Fuck that bitch right there, man.
He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace.
Exactly.
He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
Let me give some context to what Scott is saying just there, Karen, before you address it. Because this pardon, I do not believe we have mentioned it, not just granting clemency for the crimes for which Hunter Biden was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun and tax evasion, but also a blanket pardon for any federal crimes that may have been committed basically between 2014 and 2024. So what about
interesting window of time covered?
Literal get out of jail free card for
exactly what it is. That lady is so full of shit too.
Well, look, literally, the president recognizes that Republicans have been for years now trying to attack the president himself, go after his family. And when you have someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of I will be your retribution and getting back at his enemies, I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent
this bitch is so full
what
of
I'm going to
shit.
do to protect my son and to try to take the
Get the
target
fuck
off
out of
of
here,
his
man.
back
Get out of here,
once and for
bitch.
all. So that's my reading of it. But again, I think that the hypocrisy here, it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has said and done things, said things that and done other things. And again, he's a convicted felon himself. He has used his power to benefit his friends, his wealthy allies. In this instance, we're talking about a man who decided to take care of his son after years.
It's funny how the deflection of, of what the Democrats are actually doing that she claims that Trump is doing, but yet it's the Democrats are doing as we speak, right? And it's so funny how she speaks on what they're actually doing, And it's just, she's so full of shit,
Unrelenting attacks. I don't blame him.
Scott, did you have the same concerns over a justice system for the elite, as you put it before, when it was Donald Trump pardoning Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Charlie Kushner? Same concern then?
Listen, you guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh, he did it. Oh, this is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars.
Straight
Inflation,
up.
It's transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie.
Straight up.
All a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced today. Outrageous.
He's stained the presidency.
But Scott, you don't need to hurl names and say people like me are brain rotted. Come on, that's a little beyond the pale, even for you, Scott.
Listen,
I disagree.
We can disagree. You don't have to defend this. He's leaving office. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to die on this hill. You can say this is wrong because everybody knows that it is. It's wrong.
It is wrong.
Are you fine
that
with the
dumb
lying?
bitch
Are
is
you fine with
stupid.
him sitting before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period. Full stop.
See, even though Scott Jennings knows that she's so full of shit.
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, how many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this will not happen? It's I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's all that it is. And everybody who went on TV and said, oh, look how he's the modern George Washington. He's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for them forever.
Well, and Karen, to be fair, Joe Biden, we did play that sound earlier, did flat out say on multiple occasions, and the press secretary did, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden.
He sure did. And I will tell you that he probably heard from a lot of people who said, you know what, sir, go ahead and do it. You should go ahead and protect your son, because who knows what Trump and Trump's Department of Justice will do when they say that their number one goal is retribution. How could you?
He got convicted. What I mean, so what else is there? I mean, he got tried, he got convicted, and there's probably a lot more to it, as in terms of the other stuff that Hunter Biden's crimes have really broken, and all the bullshit corruption that is going to really pull Joe Biden into it as well. Joe Biden did it to cover himself as well. This is not only for Hunter. This is to cover up himself as well, so he doesn't get indicted on anything outside of now being going to be a former president soon.
Do not take the opportunity to say, you know what, this is one thing that I can do for my child. This is one thing I can do to help get the target off of his back.
Get out of here, bitch.
This is politics. And again, if we're going to, go down and compare list to list, it's not going to look very good for Donald Trump either. And I just don't have a problem with Joe Biden doing this at all.
All right.
Good for him.
Finney.
The thing about it is, though, Trump didn't lie about partying, right? So, to me, Donald Trump's response to all this is very interesting as well. Let me see if we can find his response to this right here. Let's play this right here. But obviously, it's triggered a lot of backlash from even
President Biden,
even his Democratic peers, because they know that what Biden did is fucking up the whole system, And it makes the Democrats look really bad, even though they are bad, because they lie all the time. They're corrupt. And I made a case about their corruption the other day. Go look at my video about how corrupt the party is in general, right? I mean, Kamala going through $1 billion for election campaigning, the sanctuary city bullshit, all these things that they're doing, the homeless, I mean, the stuff that they're doing and the money that's been put into it, and yet the money that disappears into it as well, it's just they're taking the money. It's so obvious. I mean, they're enriching themselves, literally. And so let's see what Donald Trump has to say about this.
Is en route to Angola after a holiday weekend spent with family on Nantucket, stopping briefly in Washington in between and announcing he's pardoning his son, Hunter. Hunter was convicted of lying on a form about his drug use when he purchased a gun and in a separate case agreed to plead guilty to tax charges. Biden argues his son's charges came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. The president's decision is a reversal from a position he held for months.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
The pardon goes beyond Hunter's gun and tax charges, also covering offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1, 2014 through December 1, 2024. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee, a Republican, accuses Biden of skirting accountability. Democratic House Representative Greg Stanton of Arizona also criticized Biden's decision, saying Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. Biden is not the first president to use his pardon powers before leaving office. President Clinton pardoned a former business partner and his half-brother, Roger Clinton. President Trump pardoned Charles Kushner, his son-in-law's father, and just announced as Trump's pick for ambassador to France. In response to Biden's decision, Trump wrote, "Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6th hostages?" addressing a promise he campaigned off of. Trump has also promised to go after those he considers political enemies and has announced plans to fire FBI Director Christopher Wray, replacing him with longtime ally Kash Patel, who has vowed to help the president-elect with his plan for retribution.
Putting his son in the Bureau of Prisons within the power and control of Donald Trump, a political rival, it was probably something as a father he needed to do to protect his son.
Hunter Biden potentially faced decades in prison. Yep. In a statement, he said he will not take this decision for granted and will devote the life he has rebuilt in his sobriety to helping those who are sick and suffering.
They're dirty, and they're always going to be dirty. The Biden family is a crime family of corruption. All right, and so all I got to say is that, what about the January 6th people that's been locked up for what? For not even any sort of real sort of riots or anything that happened during January 6th? What about those people? Those people should be pardoned too, right? This whole system is so damaged, you know? And so it should be game on in a sense because of the fact that, you could tell the government under Biden was weaponizing against Trump to keep him out of office, to keep him from running, and to try to keep the Democrats in power, to continue to terrorize, to continue to tax, and to continue to just really set themselves out to be bigger elites than they really are, because that's all they care about is the elites. And they don't care about the middle working class, and all they care about is replacing all of us with illegals. Right? And that way there's the elite class and then there's the bottom class. All right? And they can have complete control over that. It's just crap. Democrat Party is a bunch of scumbags. They're liars. They're, covering up all kinds of shit right now with that pardon. And what else can go wrong between now till Trump's back in office, right? Because there's more coming. There's going to be more coming, more bullshit, all right? That's going to be coming. Like right now, open borders, right? The borders are wide open once again. because that was just temporary when Biden held it up for election purposes. And it's just funny how the timing of this whole pardon was about to come before the sentencing. I think they went through a speedy trial. I think Hunter Biden, accepted the charges rather than try to push on, because if the trial is dragged on, right, and he tried to fight the charges and all that, it would have carried on into Trump's presidency, I bet, right? If you do delays, appeals, and all that, you could tell that this was planned and orchestrated, all right? So I bet the conversation was, let's just speed this trial up, just take what's coming for you, and I will pardon you before I leave office, right? So that's why the trial ended pretty quickly. He got convicted, and coincidentally, before he gets sentenced, right, it doesn't matter if he even got put in prison, he was going to pardon him regardless before Biden, the president, steps out of office. That was a formality. It didn't matter what was going to happen. They sped through the trial. Hunter accepted it, and he did it so that way he could pardon him quickly before Trump goes into office. So very, very, I mean, it's fascinating, but the Democrats are just full of shit. All right, enough of all that. And I think she's not bad right here, by the way. Just saying. Woo. But anyhow, that's the latest here. Yeah. I mean, everything I just covered here, I mean, it's just more of a case to show you that Democrats are just so full of shit. How can you take anything that they say? They got no credibility of whatsoever. You can't believe anything that they say, and they've proven it time and time again. Comment down below, let me know what you think.
Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah. But yeah, comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell icon, that way we can stay up to date on daily topics, daily talk, daily opinion, and other than that, thanks, and I'll see you next one.